What if I told you that stopping to help a stranger on the side of the road could completely change your life? Not just in some feel-good way, but in a way that sounds like it came straight out of a romance novel? This is the story of Marcus Chen, a 3-4-year-old bachelor who worked as a high school history teacher in Portland, Oregon. He lived a simple life: modest apartment, beat-up Honda Civic, student loans. The usual millennial struggle. But one rainy Tuesday evening in October, Marcus made a split-second decision that would lead to the most unexpected turn of events imaginable. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this story has more twists than a pretzel factory. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why thousands of people are calling this the most wholesome yet jaw-dropping story of the year. It was 6:47 p.m. Marcus was driving home from parent-teacher conferences, exhausted and hungry, thinking about the leftover pizza waiting in his fridge. The rain was coming down hard, the kind of Pacific Northwest downpour that makes your windshield wipers work overtime. That's when he saw it. A silver Lexus SUV pulled over on the shoulder of Highway 26, hazard lights blinking. Most people would drive right past. It's dark, it's raining, it could be dangerous. But Marcus had always been the kind of person who couldn't just ignore someone in trouble. His mom raised him that way. He pulled over about 30 feet ahead and jogged back through the rain. What he found broke his heart. A woman, probably in her late 30s, was sitting in the driver's seat with the door open, clutching her ankle. Her face was twisted in pain, mascara running down her cheeks mixed with rain. In the back seat, a little girl around 7 years old was crying, calling out, "Mommy, Mommy!" "Are you okay?" Marcus asked, already knowing the answer. The woman looked up at him with these dark brown eyes filled with pain and fear. I think I broke my ankle. I swerved to avoid a deer and hit the curb. My phone's dead, and my daughter." "She's scared." Marcus didn't hesitate. "I'm calling 911 right now. Do you have anyone I can contact?" The woman shook her head, fresh tears streaming down. "My husband. He passed away 8 months ago. It's just us. Just me and Emma." Something in Marcus's chest tightened. He'd lost his own father 5 years earlier. He knew that kind of grief. While waiting for the ambulance, Marcus did something that most people wouldn't think to do. He grabbed his jacket from his car and gave it to the little girl, Emma, who was shivering. He sat with them, making small talk, trying to keep Emma distracted with silly jokes and stories about his students. "Why did the skeleton go to the party alone?" he asked Emma. She sniffled. "Why? Because he had no body to go with him." Emma giggled despite her tears. Her mom, whose name was Catherine, gave Marcus a grateful smile that he'd remember for the rest of his life. The ambulance arrived 15 minutes later. As the paramedics were loading Catherine onto a stretcher, she grabbed Marcus's hand. "Thank you," she whispered. "You didn't have to stop." "Of course I did," Marcus said simply. Catherine was about to say something else when a paramedic interrupted. "Ma'am, we need to go now." And just like that, she was gone. Marcus helped arrange for Catherine's car to be towed, made sure Emma got in the ambulance with her mom, and then drove home in wet clothes, his pizza definitely cold by now. He figured that was it. A good deed done. A story to maybe tell his colleagues. He had no idea the story was just beginning. 3 days later, Marcus was in the middle of teaching his 5th period class about the French Revolution when his phone buzzed. He ignored it. Then it buzzed again and again. During his lunch break, he checked his messages. There were 7 texts from an unknown number. The first one read, "Hi, this is Catherine from the accident. The tow truck driver gave me your number. I hope that's okay." Marcus smiled. It was nice to hear from her. The messages continued. "Emma hasn't stopped talking about the skeleton joke, man. I know this is forward, but I'd really like to thank you properly. Can I buy you coffee or dinner? Whatever works. You really saved us that night." Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Not just interest, but a genuine connection to someone. He texted back, "Coffee sounds great. How's the ankle?" Over the next 2 weeks, Marcus and Catherine met 4 times. First for coffee, then for lunch, then for dinner while Emma was at her grandmother's house. Then for a walk in the park, Catherine hobbling along on crutches while Marcus carried her bags. With each meeting, Marcus learned more about Catherine's life. She'd been married to her high school sweetheart, Daniel, who died suddenly from a heart condition. She was a freelance graphic designer, working from home to be there for Emma. She loved mystery novels, hated cilantro, and had a laugh that made Marcus want to tell jokes all day. But here's what Marcus noticed. Catherine never talked about money. She never mentioned where she lived. She always insisted on paying for their meals or splitting the check. She dressed casually, jeans and sweaters, nothing flashy. She drove that Lexus SUV, sure, but it was a few years old and had crayon marks on the back seat. Marcus assumed she was like him. Middle class, getting by. Maybe the Lexus was from when her husband was alive. By the third week, they'd kissed. By the fourth week, they were officially dating. Emma adored Marcus, and he adored her right back. He'd come over to their apartment, which was nice but normal, a 2-bedroom in a decent neighborhood, and they'd have dinner together like a little family. Marcus had never been happier. Then came the day that changed everything. It was a Saturday morning in November. Marcus and Catherine had been dating for about 6 weeks. He'd planned a surprise, tickets to a museum exhibit Emma had been dying to see. He showed up at Catherine's apartment building and pressed the buzzer. No answer. He tried calling. No answer. Weird. They definitely made plans. Just as he was about to leave, an older gentleman in an expensive suit walked out of the building. "Excuse me," Marcus said. "I'm looking for Catherine Walker. She lives in 2B?" The man looked confused. 2B? Son, there's no 2B in this building. This is a 4-unit building. 2 per floor. Marcus frowned. "But I've been to her apartment. She definitely lives here." The man's expression shifted to something like pity. "Catherine Walker, the young widow with the little girl? She doesn't live here. She lives in the penthouse of the Morrison building. 3 blocks that way." He pointed west. "She owns this building. I'm her property manager." Marcus felt like the ground had tilted. "What?" The property manager seemed to realize he'd said too much. I should let her explain. But yes, she owns this building and 4 others in the area. She's been going through something. After Mr. Walker passed, that's all I should say." Marcus stood there on the sidewalk, completely stunned. His phone rang. "Catherine, Marcus. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I forgot we were meeting at my place. I'm at my mom's house. Emma wasn't feeling well last night, so we stayed over. Can you come here instead?" Marcus got the address and drove in a daze. Catherine's mother's house was in the West Hills. For those who don't know Portland, the West Hills is where the money lives. We're talking multi-million-dollar homes with views of Mount Hood. When Marcus pulled up to the address Catherine had given him, his mouth literally fell open. It wasn't just a house, it was an estate. A sprawling craftsman-style mansion with manicured gardens, a 3-car garage, and actual columns. Catherine answered the door in yoga pants and a sweatshirt, completely casual, like this was normal. "Hey, come in. Sorry about the confusion." Marcus followed her inside, his mind racing. The interior was even more impressive. Vaulted ceilings, original hardwood, art that looked like it belonged in a museum. An older woman who looked like an elegant version of Catherine came down the stairs. "You must be Marcus. I'm Patricia, Catherine's mother. We've heard so much about you." "Nice to meet you," Marcus managed. Emma came running and hugged his legs. "Marcus, you came." For the next hour, Marcus went through the motions of the museum visit he'd planned, but his mind was elsewhere. During lunch, while Emma was in the bathroom, he finally asked, "Catherine, I need to know something." "Who are you?" Catherine's face fell. She'd known this was coming. "Let's talk later, please, after we drop Emma off." That evening, Catherine took Marcus to a quiet wine bar. She ordered a bottle of something that probably cost more than Marcus's car payment. "I should have told you," she started, her voice shaking, "but I couldn't." "Told me what exactly?" Catherine took a deep breath. "My husband's family, they founded Walker Industries. It's a pharmaceutical company. When Daniel died, his shares went to me and Emma, along with everything else." "How much is everything else?" "The estate is worth about $280 million, between the real estate holdings, the company shares, and investments." Marcus physically recoiled. The number was so large it didn't even seem real. Catherine continued, tears forming. "After Daniel died, everyone changed. His family tried to contest the will. Friends I'd known for years suddenly needed loans. Men started pursuing me who'd never looked at me twice before. I couldn't tell who was real and who just wanted the money. So you lied to me." "I didn't lie. I didn't tell you. That apartment you came to? That's my old friend's place. She's traveling in Europe for a year. I asked if I could use it sometimes, to feel normal, to remember what life was like before all of this. Marcus stood up. I need some air. He walked outside, Catherine following on her crutches. Marcus, please. You're the first person since Daniel died who's treated me like a regular person, who made Emma laugh, who didn't want anything from me. That night on the highway, you helped me because you're a good person, not because you knew who I was or what I had. But now I do know, Marcus said, and everything's different. Does it have to be? Marcus ran his hands through his hair. Catherine, I'm a high school teacher. I make $52,000 a year. I have student loans. I drive a 2008 Honda Civic. You're worth $280 million. We're from different worlds. But we weren't that night on the highway. We were just two people who needed each other. Marcus looked at her, this beautiful woman with tears streaming down her face, and felt his resolve cracking. I need time to think, he said. Catherine nodded. I understand. But Marcus, everything between us has been real. Every laugh, every conversation, every moment. That's been me. The real me. Not the heiress. Just Catherine. The widow trying to put her life back together. The mom who's grateful her daughter smiled again. Marcus didn't call Catherine for a week. It was the longest week of his life. He told his best friend, his brother, even his mom. Everyone had opinions. His brother thought he was crazy not to go for it. His best friend warned him about the complications. His mom asked the most important question. Do you love her? The truth was, Marcus thought he might. He'd been falling for Catherine before he knew about any of this. The money didn't make her more attractive. If anything, it made everything more complicated. But Emma, God, he missed Emma. He missed her silly questions and her drawings and the way she'd snuggle up to him during movies. And Catherine. He missed Catherine's laugh, her stories, the way she'd touch his arm when she was making a point, her kindness. On day 8, Marcus made his decision. He showed up at Catherine's real home, the actual house she lived in with Emma. It was in the West Hills, naturally, not as big as her mother's estate, but still impressive. A beautiful craftsman with a yard where a little girl could play. Catherine answered the door in sweats, no makeup, eyes red like she'd been crying. Marcus said. Hi, she whispered. Can we talk? They sat in her living room. It was decorated beautifully but comfortably. Photos of Daniel were mixed in with photos of Emma. This was a home, not a showpiece. I've been thinking, Marcus started, and I realized something. That night on the highway, I stopped because you needed help. Not because of who you were or what you had, but because you were a human being in trouble. Catherine nodded, listening. And over these past weeks, I fell for you. Not for your money, which I didn't know about, but for you, for your laugh and your kindness and the way you love your daughter, for the way you make me want to be better. Marcus, let me finish. Yes, the money thing freaks me out. I'm not going to lie about that. I don't know how to navigate that world. I've never even been on a plane before, and you probably have a private jet. Catherine laughed through her tears. I don't have a jet. That's excessive. See, I don't even know what's excessive at that level. Marcus laughed too. But here's what I do know. I know that I miss you. I miss Emma. I miss us. And I think we owe it to ourselves to try to figure this out. Catherine was fully crying now. Really? Really? But I need you to promise me something. No more secrets. No more hiding who you are. If we're going to do this, we do it honestly. I promise. And I need to pay for things sometimes, even if it's just pizza and movie rentals. I need to feel like I'm contributing. Catherine smiled. Deal. And Emma can't go to school in a limo or whatever. She needs a normal childhood. She takes the regular school bus, I promise. Marcus pulled Catherine into his arms. Then let's try this. Let's see where it goes. Over the next 6 months, Marcus and Catherine navigated their unusual relationship. It wasn't always easy. There were moments of culture shock. Like when Catherine casually mentioned flying to Cabo for spring break, and Marcus had to explain that teachers don't just take random vacations. Or when she wanted to buy him a new car, and he had to set firm boundaries about accepting gifts. But they made it work. Catherine made genuine efforts to understand Marcus's world. She came to his school events, met his colleagues, attended his brother's backyard barbecues. She didn't flash her wealth. In fact, most of Marcus's friends and family had no idea just how wealthy she was. Marcus, for his part, tried to be open to Catherine's world. He met her late husband's family, enduring some awkward conversations with people who clearly didn't understand why a wealthy widow would date a teacher. He attended charity galas where the tickets cost more than his monthly salary. He learned to be comfortable being uncomfortable. But the best moments were the simple ones. Movie nights with Emma, cooking dinner together, walking in the park. The things that didn't cost anything. Emma was thriving. She'd started calling Marcus, Marcus Buddy, a nickname that made his heart melt every time. Her therapist said she was processing her father's death better, that having a positive male figure in her life was helping. Then came the moment that changed everything again. It was late April, almost exactly 6 months after the accident. Catherine invited Marcus to dinner. She'd cooked, which was notable because Catherine rarely cooked. She usually had a private chef handle it. After Emma went to bed, Catherine took Marcus's hand. "There's something I need to tell you," she said. Marcus's stomach dropped. "Okay. Emma asked me something this morning. She asked if you were going to be her new daddy." Marcus's eyes widened. "And I realized," Catherine continued, "that I'd been waiting for you to bring this up, waiting for you to make some grand gesture. But that's not fair. We're supposed to be equals in this relationship, right?" "Right," Marcus said slowly, not sure where this was going. Catherine got up, walked to a drawer, and pulled out a small box. But instead of getting on one knee, she sat back down next to Marcus. "I don't want to propose to you," she said. "That's too much pressure. But I want you to know that I'm in this. Completely. I want to build a life with you. I want Emma to have a father figure who chose to be in her life, not someone who just ended up there by accident." She opened the box. Inside was a simple, silver ring. "This was Daniel's," she said quietly. "Not his wedding ring, his college ring. He wore it before we got married. I want you to have it, not as an engagement ring, but as a promise. A promise that when you're ready, when we're both ready, I'm saying yes." Marcus stared at the ring, then at Catherine. "You're giving me your late husband's ring? Daniel would have liked you," Catherine said. "He would have wanted Emma to have someone like you in her life. This isn't about replacing him. It's about honoring what we had while building something new." Marcus took the ring, turning it over in his hands. It felt heavy with meaning. "I need to tell you something too," he said. "I've been saving. Not much, but some. I wanted to be able to afford a ring, a real engagement ring. Because even though you're worth millions, I wanted to do this right. I wanted to show you that I'm serious." Catherine's eyes filled with tears. "Marcus, you don't have to." "I want to. Maybe not today, maybe not for a few more months. But I want to propose to you properly. With a ring I bought, with a plan. Is that okay?" "That's more than okay." They sat there, holding hands, the weight of the future settling around them. But here's where the story takes its most unexpected turn. 2 months later, in June, Marcus finally felt ready. He'd saved enough for a modest but beautiful engagement ring. He'd gotten Emma's blessing, which came in the form of her tackling him with a hug and screaming, "Yes!" He'd even, nervously, asked Catherine's mother for her blessing. He planned a simple proposal, a picnic in the same park where they'd had their first walk, Catherine on crutches, him carrying her bags. But the night before the proposal, Catherine called an emergency meeting. "We need to talk," she said, her voice serious. "Can you come over?" Marcus's stomach churned. Had she changed her mind? Had her family finally convinced her he was wrong for her? When he arrived, Catherine was sitting at the kitchen table with papers spread out everywhere. Emma was at a sleepover. "Sit down," Catherine said. Marcus sat, terrified. "I've been working with my lawyers and financial advisors," Catherine began, "and I need to tell you about something before we move forward with our relationship." "Okay." Daniel's will had specific provisions about his estate, about what happens to the money. "I don't care about the money, Catherine. I've told you that." "I know. But you need to hear this. According to the terms of his will, if I remarry, I have full control of the estate. But there's a provision, a requirement." Marcus waited. "If I remarry within 7 years of Daniel's death, my new spouse has to sign an ironclad prenuptial agreement. The terms are specific. My new husband would get nothing from Daniel's estate. No money, no property, no shares in the company. It all stays protected for Emma." Marcus blinked. "Okay, that makes sense. It's Emma's inheritance. But there's more. The prenup also states that if the marriage ends for any reason, my new husband leaves with exactly what he brought into the marriage. Nothing more." "Catherine, I don't want your money. I never have. I know, but I need you to really understand what this means. If we get married, you're signing a contract that says you get nothing. If we're together for 50 years and then I die, you get nothing. It all goes to Emma and her children." Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he started laughing. "What's funny?" Catherine asked, confused. "I stopped on the side of the road that night to help a stranger," Marcus said. "I didn't even know your name. I didn't want anything from you. And now you're worried that I'm going to be upset about signing a prenup that says I still get nothing? But, Catherine, listen to me. I don't want your money. I want you. I want Emma. I want to build a life together. If that means signing a prenup, fine. If that means I stay a middle-class teacher while you're a multimillionaire, fine. None of that matters to me." Catherine's eyes filled with tears. "My lawyers said you'd have a problem with it. My family said no man would agree to those terms. Then they don't know me. Where's the prenup? I'll sign it right now. You haven't even proposed yet." Marcus stood up, walked to his jacket, and pulled out the ring box he'd been carrying around, waiting for the perfect moment. He got down on one knee right there in Catherine's kitchen, surrounded by legal documents and half-drunk cups of coffee. "Catherine Walker, will you marry me? Will you let me be a father to Emma? Will you build a completely impractical, probably complicated, definitely unusual life with me?" Catherine was crying and laughing at the same time. "Yes, yes, God, yes." Marcus slipped the ring on her finger. It was simple, elegant, probably cost a fraction of what her first engagement ring cost. But she looked at it like it was the most beautiful thing in the world. "Now, where's that prenup?" Marcus asked. "Let's sign this thing." Marcus and Catherine got married 3 months later, in September. It was a small ceremony in Catherine's backyard with close family and friends. Emma was the flower girl, and she took her job very seriously. Marcus signed the prenup without reading it twice. His lawyer had tried to negotiate, but Marcus shut that down immediately. This wasn't about money. It never had been. But here's the thing about this story that makes it so remarkable. After the wedding, Catherine made an announcement to Marcus. "I've been thinking," she said on their honeymoon in a modest beach cottage Marcus had picked out, "about my money, about what it means, about what I want to do with it. Okay, I don't want to be defined by it. I don't want Emma to be defined by it. So I've set up a trust. The majority of the estate will be managed by a foundation. Emma will be taken care of, obviously. She'll have everything she needs for education, healthcare, a good life. But the rest? It's going to charity, education initiatives, scholarship funds, programs for widows and single parents." Marcus stared at her. "You're giving it away?" "Most of it. I'm keeping enough that we're comfortable, that Emma's secure. But the rest? It needs to do good in the world. Daniel would have wanted that. But what about your lifestyle, your houses, your—" "I sold 3 of the rental properties. I'm keeping my home and my mother's estate. That's enough. More than enough. The rest is just stuff." Marcus pulled her close. "You're incredible. You know that? I learned from you. You helped a stranger on the side of the road expecting nothing in return. That's who I want to be." They stood there on the beach, watching the sunset. 2 people from different worlds who'd found something real. Over the next years, their lives became something beautiful. Marcus continued teaching, turning down Catherine's repeated offers to retire early and travel. He loved his job. He loved his students. He didn't want to give that up. Catherine threw herself into her foundation work, using her business skills and resources to make real change. She funded after-school programs, scholarship initiatives, and support groups for widows and single parents. Emma grew up grounded and kind, aware of her privilege but taught to use it for good. She called Marcus Dad by the time she was 10, and it made him cry every single time. They had their struggles. Money was a persistent challenge. Marcus insisted on contributing to household expenses proportionally to his income, which Catherine found both frustrating and endearing. They went to couples therapy to navigate the unique dynamics of their relationship. They learned to communicate, to compromise, to meet each other halfway. But the foundation of their relationship remained the same as it had been that rainy night on the highway. 2 people who needed each other, helping each other, choosing each other every single day. So what's the moral of this story? Is it that helping others will be rewarded? Maybe. Is it that true love conquers all? Partially. But I think the real lesson is this. Marcus didn't help Catherine that night expecting anything in return. He didn't know she was an heiress. He didn't know it would lead to romance. He just saw someone who needed help, and he helped. The romantic reward people talk about in this story isn't the money. It never was. The reward was finding someone who saw Marcus for who he really was. Someone who valued his character over his bank account. Someone who wanted to build a life with him based on mutual respect and genuine love. And for Catherine, the reward was finding someone who wanted her, not her money. Someone who signed a prenup, giving up any claim to her fortune without a second thought. Someone who helped her without knowing who she was or what she could offer. They found each other at the exact moment they both needed to be found. That's not luck. That's not coincidence. That's what happens when good people make good choices and stay open to possibilities. Marcus still drives that 2008 Honda Civic, by the way. He refuses to replace it, says it's a reminder of who he is and where he came from. Catherine finds it hilarious and endearing in equal measure. They're still married, still navigating their unusual life, still choosing each other. And it all started because one single guy decided to stop on a rainy highway to help a stranger. So maybe the question isn't whether you'd stop to help someone if you knew it would change your life. Maybe the question is, would you help someone even if you knew it wouldn't? Because that's the real test of character. That's the real reward. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible real-life stories that sound too good to be true. Drop a comment below telling me, would you have signed that prenup? And share this video with someone who needs to hear that good things can happen to good people. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.